Hi, friends. Thanks for watching. So I keep on remembering how last year when the coronavirus that was showing up in January 2020, and there was no testing. There was no testing. There was just all this fear, 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 right? And I was like, well, why doesn't if the coronavirus is so incredibly infectious, you have to wear gloves and a mask and keep 8 feet apart or 6 feet apart. Excuse me. And other people have mentioned this. Like, why not just do a little cheek swab? Like, why are they digging into the cribriform plate, which is this area where our brain and our lymph system meets? It's like absolutely insane that people were allowing themselves to get scraped at their cribriform plate so that they're bleeding. Little children were getting bloody noses, and medicine was saying that's good, that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, absolutely psychotic to believe these people that injury is a good thing, especially injury to the brain. Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, I have family and friends who are like this. Or, not even friends anymore, right? Not even family anymore. But, anyways, back to the testing. So they've been using this PCR testing that was used 20, 30 years ago for AIDS, right? So why did it take so many months for them to figure out a test? That's what I've been wondering in the back of my head. And so, like, why? Manufacturing it, was it really so just to get a swab? But like, that's so, or just to devise this test that after the fact we know it's been around for 30 years. Like like uh medical facilities don't have nasal swabs for other things. Of course they do. So the swabs were always there in 2020, January 2020. The swabs were always there. The PCR test was always, uh, it's we've known about it. It's commonly talked about in infectious disease or DNA kind of stuff. I mean, because you're not supposed to use a PCR test to diagnose an infection. A PCR test just identifies DNA fragments. And if you actually look into the Nobel Prize winning scientist, Carrie Mullis, like the I guess this what's called the SNPs, the parts of the DNA that they are saying is CV, is actually found in humans. It's found in bacteria. It's found in our environment. So we're getting all these false positives. And what's the benefit? Who benefits from all these false positives? Well, are these states and doctors getting tremendous, millions of dollars of funding? Yes, they are, for a positive diagnosis and for a death and execution, in my opinion. I think a lot of executions have occurred. And who benefits from these executions? Well, the state can get money from just improperly managed estates, and states have been doing this for decades. Of elderly people are executed, and the estate is not properly set up, and so the estate, the property of the elderly executed person, is then taken by the state, and the state gets all this money for more human trafficking, more adrenochrome, in my opinion. Anyway, so I just think it's important to point out, it took forever for us to get this testing, and because the equipment was this nasal swab, the test was something that was around for 30 years. What was the deal? What was the explanation of why it took forever to get the testing? And what I'm thinking is they wanted to create some sort of device on the nasal swab that they're using. Because if you've watched any videos or seen any articles, the nasal swabs have some type of abrasive plastic to it. It's not your typical cotton swab, and it seems like the materials seem to have kind of a charged interactive movement that occurs on the material of the swab. And other folks have pointed out it seems like there's some moving filaments and possibly life forms like a little worm or something in the swabs. So, I mean, this is like the most evil, if I'm right, this is just the most evil, diabolical thing that humanity has blithely wandered into. I mean, just people so trusting, and what I find is interesting is the people who are so skeptical of me just talking about whatever, just sharing whatever. They're like so skeptical, won't even talk to me, but they're gonna go inject themselves with a luciferase enzyme and a product that has a patent number 666 and owned by Bill Gates, and a product that Pfizer himself, the Pfizer executive won't take. But somehow, like like people like me are so objectionable, to close friends and family. But these people are going to trust complete strangers, completely removed from their lives, and risk their lives and the lives of their loved ones and their community just to conform, I guess. But anyways, that was just my thought. Does anybody have any else to add about, wow, it took them a long time to figure out the test, distribute the test for something that was already there. I mean, they didn't have to use some kind of plasticky, damaging, harsh thing to get the cryptform plate damaged. They could have just used, because they do a cheek swab. Like you can do a cheek swab. You don't have to dig into the sinuses where the brain meets the blood-brain barrier. So do you have anything else to add to this? This test that's been around for 30 years, nasal swabs are not new technology that really had to be created from, recreated the wheel. So I just think it's kind of like a smoking gun of just how shady and how planned out this was. And they just took their time. There's just like this shameless, self-indulgent, like they're so confident, and apparently they're justified in being so confident because people I know and people who have been important to me are totally in lockstep with the mainstream narrative. So, and these people are smart, and yeah, I mean, if it really feels like it's a kind of a hopeless situation. So yeah, it just started off bad with the ritual that went down. Not only in Minneapolis, this same month it happened in France. The same dynamic: somebody wearing a badge, taking the knee, and taking the knee is actually means to pray. So what these people were doing when they were taking the knee on the neck of somebody is they were doing a ritual. They were doing a black magic ritual. And if you look at the Baphomet statue, there's a little white girl and a little black boy. And so that dynamic is the fuel, I guess, of Satanism. So, so it seems like something about harming the black male is some magical black magic ritual component ingredient. And I'm not going to go into that some more, but anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. So what do you guys think? Hopefully, hopefully I didn't cross too many of YouTube's guidelines there. But anyways, thanks for watching and God bless. Keep praying, folks.